I'll just give you a rundown of this 36 tattwas of Kashmir Shaivism, just to give you an insight why all this confusion is prevailing among the mankind. In the beginning, when the God is there, absolute state of consciousness, pure consciousness, the static aspect of the God. They call it a Shiva Tattva, the Tattva of the essence of Lord Shiva. It is just a word. Take it that. Because the philosophies as per Kashmir Shaivism or call it absolute Brahman or the universal soul in state of static state, absolutely static, pure consciousness. That is called as Shiva Tattva. Then the gentleman, now he can't lift his hand or finger also because he's totally static. Something which can do that, we call it as Shakti Tattva. Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva. That is the dynamic aspect of the universal soul. So the universal soul or the God, as you want to call, or the Brahman, as you want to call, or Shiva, as you want to call, it is like a coin with two sides. Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva. And this gentleman has now decided, let me now create, let me be many. He should have kept himself, lived in himself in all alone, solitude. But he decides one day, let me now create the universe. Let me be many. The desire to create is next what we call it as Sadashiva Tattva, the desire in the God. Okay, he decides to create. Now he needs the knowledge how to go about creating it. Like James may think, I want to create a beautiful, iconic building. It doesn't mean, if he desires it. He needs to have the exact blueprint, the knowledge how to go, how to execute that plan. You want to create an iconic building so tall, which has never been created on the planet Earth till date. You need a blueprint, right? You need various technologies you need for that. So therefore, knowledge is very essential, which we call it as Ishvara Tattva. Then we have something known as, now coming to the execution stage, actually constructing the building. That's what we call it as Shuddha Vidya Tattva. So there are 5 different tattvas which are given in among this list of these 36 tattvas. Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva, okay? And then we have Sada Shiva Tattva, Ishvara Tattva, Shuddha Vidya Tattva, like that. After this, now God has decided, okay, now I want to create. Now the first thing, he has to surround himself by something known as illusion, known as Maya, Maya Tattva. That is the 6th one. And then, when the Maya has been surrounded by him, he needs to get bound by something known as restrictors. Restriction with respect to space, restriction with respect to time. He is bound, limited by, he is now a limited being. He has to have that sensors implanted in himself. I am not omnipotent. I am not omnipresent. Understood now? He has to limit himself. The God has to limit himself. We call it as constrictors, or in Sanskrit we call it as kanchkas. There are 5 of them. He is surrounded by that. So initially we have 5. That's called as pure creation. Then we have 6 more, 11. And then 12 is the gentleman called as Purusha Tattva. That means the soul is now screwed. The soul is now screwed nice and proper now. And that Purusha Tattva, he is now staring him at something known as nature, Prakriti Tattva, which is now going to experience. So that is called as the 13th one. And then the rest of the thing goes as per the Sankhya philosophy now. So while this is in progress, now there is something else which is also happening here, parallel to this emergence of the soul. That is known as the sonic blueprint. So this gentleman God, the absolute pure consciousness of the God, absolute pure consciousness of the God, the static aspect of the God, the gentleman has got something with him, that is music. I think even the Christian philosophy also agrees with that, more or less. And even Indian philosophy also agrees with that as it is, which we call it as Shabda Brahman. This gentleman, who has got that music along with him, is called a Shabda Brahman with Nada Tattva. And Nada means to move, the initial vibration, in the cosmos. And the vibration, when it comes to gets condensed to a point, we call it something known as Bindu Tattva. Nada Tattva and then Bindu Tattva. That is Shiva Tattva and Shakti Tattva, basically. Shakti means energy, cosmic power, that is the dynamic aspect of the God. Now, this initial vibration in the cosmos, the initial vibration, which is nothing but the musical note, everything has come from that now. How it has come? Earlier we discussed the desire, the knowledge to create, and the action. So this point which I talked, the musical note, the initial vibration, it became polarized into 3 dots, which they refer it to as something known as Kama Kala in Sanskrit and all that. Kama Kala means it is that sonic blueprint of the cosmos. Sonic blueprint of the cosmos, that Kama Kala. Now this Kama Kala, which we are talking about, it is also in kind of an unmanifested form. Like the first is, the sound is in, total the sound exists in 4 forms. The first is in para state, supreme state call it. And when it is about to create, it descends down to something known as Pashyanti. And this sound, this primordial sound, when it comes into the level of human intellect, that's what we call it as mental sound. It is broken down into 50 seed letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. And these 50 seed letters of the Sanskrit alphabet are distributed along the 6 chakras, along the cerebrospinal system. And the problem here is, each of this letter is representing a physical counterpart. When we say the primordial sound lam, la, it's one of the Sanskrit alphabet, it is representing the earth element. And it is also representing the sensory perception of smelling. And it is also responsible, the particular energy center, that is root chakra, is responsible for the excretory functions. Like that. Here, every energy center is has got one of these letter of the Sanskrit alphabet, representing that energy center. And each energy center further has got so many energy patterns, because we have got 50 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. The root chakra has got 4 letters distributed around it, like that, all others. It is only in the Vishuddha chakra, that is the throat chakra, you have 2 things common there, very surprisingly. This is an exception. The throat chakra, it is basically has got the representing the element ether or Akash Tattva. And many people wonder why Akash Tattva? Science has not proven it. It is basically the mental space. The mental space. Nothing but the mental space. That is the ether element. Don't bother about the science, what it is accepting or not accepting. Because if you see, science accepts matter in 3 states: solids, liquids, right? Solids, liquids, basically, and maybe gases. Maybe gases. If you see root chakra, solids, fine. Swadhisthana chakra, the solar, that is the sacral plexus, water element, fine. When it comes to Manipura chakra, it is light and heat. It is light and heat. And science says, no, it is not a state of matter. But when it comes to Anahata chakra, heart chakra, it is representing water, wind. It is representing wind. They say, yeah, wind is also state of the matter. It is accepting 3, solids, liquids, and gases. But it is not accepting the fire element, Agni Tattva. Why it is not accepting? Because science say, sorry, we are not able to measure the volume and mass. Now, if you can't measure the volume and mass, whose problem is that? Is it my problem, or is it the problem of the yoga systems? It is the limitation of the science. Science is assuming, modern science, if they have to accept the matter that it is existing in a particular state, they need 2 things for that: volume and mass. They should be able to measure this volume and mass. If they can't measure it, sorry, they don't accept it. That is the problem with science. So therefore, don't bother about science. Science doesn't even know what it is. Probably it knows that it is constantly changing itself. It will change. That's why I'm saying the way science is looking at the parameters themselves need to change now. If you keeps looking at the world that I should be able to calculate, mathematically I should be able to calculate. If you don't calculate, no, this is not science. Then whose problem is that? Go to hell? Go to the darkest hell? Whose problem is that? Because the world is something else, whereas you are trying to calculate it from a mathematical model. And the same mistake, hasn't the science done the same mistake a few centuries ago? When Newton was proposing a mechanical universe, everything according to the Newtonian mechanical universe, he was proposing that entire structure got broken down when Einstein proposed the mathematical model. So our very basic ideas have to change here. It just because we are holding on to our old ideas, no, we are not able to calculate. Who told you to calculate here? In this world, everything is based on resonance. That means music. It is the music which is playing. And the human body has been constructed exactly like that. It is basically a sonic blueprint. Sonic blueprint. Shabda Prapancha and then parallel you have Ardha Prapancha, the world of sounds, the world of things, and they are perfectly meshed together. That is the problem here. That means a human being, when he is constructed, he has got all the 50 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet along the cerebrospinal system. But people don't want to accept as the cosmic constants. They are like codes. In a way, if you see, all the Sanskrit alphabet, they are like cosmic codes. It's a different thing that people have used it for as a language also. They made a good use of it. We have so many books written in Sanskrit language, poetry, drama, and epics. They have been written, fine. That's a separate thing. But as far as the mantras are concerned, they are like cosmic codes. Now, people have actually screwed the entire system here again. For example, there is a seed mantra of, let's say, goddess of wealth. Seed mantra for goddess of wealth. No, that is like a cosmic code. No, you can't translate that. Can you translate the violin music? You tell me, James. Can you translate some other music of an instrument?
Can you physically translate it, Guruji? Is that what you mean?
Say again?
Can you were asking, can you physically translate the music?
Yeah. Can you do that?
No.
Same thing is here also. When the mantra is there, let's say goddess of wealth, there is a mantra, seed mantra. You can't translate that mantra. And when people have published that book, you know what they have done? They should have been openly admitted, saying that the resonating frequencies of the seed mantra of so and so. They should have been forthcoming. Seed mantra of goddess of wealth is particular sound body. You simply, whatever you want to say, you say that this is the resonating frequency of this mantra. Now, instead, what the gentlemen have done, smart people, they published books. They gave a title to the book, inviting abundance into your life. How to grow rich by chanting sacred mantra. They gave a new label to that so that the book can be sold. They were not interested in that. They were not bothered that by the fact that the mantra can't be translated. Because if you translate the mantra, which is supposed to be the cosmic code, the translation is telling you something else now. It is only giving you the prayer. When you translate a mantra, most of the mantras, you will hear them as a prayer, basically. And whom it is being addressed to? Mostly Western audience. Earlier, in the earlier part of this century, or two to three centuries ago. And who to be blamed here? The so-called translators who have messed up with the entire system. They try to translate mantras which they are not meant to be translated. And the people who are hearing the translations, they were satisfied and happy because their ego was satisfied. Oh, it's a great prayer. I'm praying so and so goddess. I'm praying so and so God. What prayer praying going so? Nothing will have come out of that prayer. Because that mechanism itself is not being operationalized here. How can you translate a chemical equation? You tell me that. Chemistry is there, a chemical equation is there, two chemical compounds are interacting. How can you translate that into a reaction into some other language, you know? The same thing, the people have done it. So this is the problem for confusion. all over the world, all over the mankind. People have picked up a little bit of bits and pieces information from left, right, and center. And add to this, people like the gentleman who translated these mantras into various languages, they screwed and messed up the entire system. And people who are listening and feeling happy about it, they were not, they are also to be blamed. They also did think once for a while that how these things are being translated if they are like mathematical formulae. How can you translate a mathematical formula? How can you translate a chemical equation? How can you translate a musical note into some other language? Because they are the cosmic codes. They are the constants. That's the problem here. Total confusion. Most of the people, they have no idea what they are pursuing. Spiritually confused, culturally confused, and I must say, even as a human being, people are also confused, I think. This is the basic problem. Why people are not able to progress spiritually, this is the problem. Lack of clarity on the issues. They keep hearing left, right, and center, something or the other, and totally mixed and confused. And as a result, they don't follow the procedure to be followed, the system to be followed. So that's it. That's what I want to talk to you. Shaktipat, as I told you, Shaktipat is the highest blessing which you all can get. All philosophies are covered in that. All techniques are covered in that. All that. And another problem here is when it comes to Shaktipat gurus, another confusion here. Now, Shaktipat gurus are different, other gurus are different. In independent yoga system, a guru has to be well versed with the particular yoga system or a tantric system. He is to be a role model, so that by personal example, he has to lead the students for the awakening of the Kundalini energy. But when it comes to Shaktipat, the Shaktipat guru is only like an operator. He's just pressing the button and the Shakti is being awakened here. And why it is happening here with the Shaktipat guru? Because the lineage has authorized him. So you can't compare the Shaktipat gurus with the normal independent yoga systems gurus. They're totally different category altogether. So this is another problem. Anyway, we'll discuss these things over our course of time in the future. Because in one session, I won't be able to make you wise. You need to grasp these things, the subtle aspects of the yoga practice, the subtle aspects of spiritualism, little by little, piece by piece. And then only you will be able to piece them all together. Otherwise, there will be total chaos and confusion. You won't be able to make any headway, progress ahead. Okay?